You see it?
Yeah.
Genome, The Extinction Files, Book 2, by A.G. Riddle. I really like that these books were published very close together. That way you're not waiting years to find out what happens in the story. Kind of like a certain Game of Thrones series that we're still waiting years for the next book. So I was able to go from the first book straight to the second book, first book fresh in my memory, and continue on with the story. I'm surprised that the series is only 2 books long, but it isn't like one of those series where you feel like you want to continue on. I feel like he wraps it up really nice. It picks up right where the first book left off, Desmond remembering most of his story, the hard upbringing that he had. And the author did an excellent job of shaping that with how it formed his personality, his values, and you kind of see, it makes sense why he made the choices he made based on his childhood and his upbringing, which ultimately led him to his involvement with the virus. It also explains why his brother is the way he is. Again, I really like that these books are very character driven and that like the end of the world scenario is secondary to the character's story and their struggle. And you get to see Desmond and his brother's life course and how it ended up helping them steer them through this catastrophe. Those trends just carry right on into the second book and continue right up to the very end. I felt like it was about the right length. I was ready for it to end. Some series you just can't finish because they just go drag on and on and on. Others you're sad to see them go. This one was like right in the middle for me. Tied everything up in a nice neat little bow and ultimately left me content, kind of ready to move on to another series. I said in the last review about the first book about how it kind of reminded me of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. This one almost reminds me of Dan Brown's style, how they're running around the world trying to connect the dots, especially with Desmond's memories, and it reminds me quite a bit of Dan Brown's latest novel, Origin, except far less preachy. Dan Brown goes on and on and on about how religion's bad and nutty, evolution is the only way that we could have gotten here, and so on. A lot of the same elements in this book, however, done very good. He explains his points enough for the story to make sense, but not so much it sounds like he's given a sermon like with Dan Brown's book. But again though, with his last book and the virus being as almost, it was like a backdrop to the story, that whole argument, that whole scenario again is a backdrop to the characters. The main focus is on the characters and the development of their life, same as the first book, and also very well written. I especially like how the bad guys have a purpose. They're not the typical bad guys that are just evil. They're probably more misguided. Their heart's in the right place, but the execution is bad. And then things get out of control, which is basically the whole story. I'm trying not to give too much away, so I apologize if it sounds vague. Let me know in the comments below what you think, and also which end of the world type book do you recommend? For me, my all-time favorite is still Alas Babylon, possibly Earth Abides. But these are good, but something about those, maybe it's the fact that like Alas Babylon, I feel like you're transported to the 50s, that could be, but who knows?
Also, don't forget to check the links below for titles mentioned in this audiobook, as well as the link to the time-lapse video of my book, Generations End. Check it out on Amazon. Feel free to drop me an email. Let me know what you think. Talk to you next time.